Welcome to the fourth and final part of how to navigate your birth chart. Initially, we talked about the houses and then we discussed the numbers written in those houses, which represent the zodiac signs ruling them. After that, we talked about the planets sitting in those houses, represented by the alphabets in the birth chart. Those alphabets represent the planets. Then we talked about aspects, the relationships between those planets, not only the house they are sitting in, but they also have certain aspects through which they communicate with other houses and planets. Now, in this last part, we will discuss house lordships, how to determine which planet is ruling which house and what that means. By knowing this, you will be able to understand how these houses work, whether a house is good or bad for you, how easy or difficult it is to get the results of that house, and how blessed or unlucky you are in different areas of your life. So, if you are watching this video and haven't seen any previous videos, it's better to watch those first to keep everything in flow. But if you already know the things we discussed earlier, then let's move ahead. Let's get started. So, houses and lordships. How to determine which planet is ruling which of your houses. First of all, we talked about the numbers written in the houses, and those numbers represent the zodiac signs. Each number is associated with a specific zodiac sign. For example, number 1 is associated with Aries, and number 2 with Taurus, and you can see on your screen these are the numbers connected with each zodiac sign. Now, each zodiac sign is ruled by a certain planet, so let's talk about the planets ruling each zodiac sign. Aries is ruled by Mars, Taurus is ruled by Venus, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, Cancer is ruled by the Moon, Leo is ruled by the Sun, Virgo is ruled by the Mercury, Libra is ruled by Venus, Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and it is also said that Ketu is a co-ruler of a Scorpio. Since it is a co-ruler, you don't usually see it in a regular practice, but for in-depth analysis, Ketu should also be considered the house lord wherever Scorpio is ruling in your birth chart. Then Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn as well, Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. And for Aquarius, Rahu is also considered a co-ruler, similar to how Ketu is a co-ruler of a Scorpio. So when you are doing an in-depth analysis of the house where Aquarius is the ruling sign, then along with the Saturn, Rahu should also be considered for better understanding. Now you know that each zodiac sign is ruled by a certain planet, and when a planet is sitting in a particular house, it doesn't only affect that house, it also manifests the result of the house it rules. So if a planet is sitting in a house, it affects that house directly, and it carries the results of the house it lords over. For example, let's say Leo is ruling someone's first house. You will see the number 5 written in the first house, which means the Sun is ruling the first house, because the Sun is the ruler of Leo. Now let's say the Sun is placed in the third house. That means the Sun is carrying the results of the first house into the third house. If you want to see how this person's overall life would be, because the first house represents the native's overall life, personality, the way they present themselves to others, their health, their physical body, then you check where the first house lord is placed. So when the first house lord, the Sun, in this case, is sitting in the third house, the native's entire life theme becomes connected with third house activities. These include traveling, communication, social networking, being bold and courageous. Life also becomes full of changes and challenges for this native. Why am I saying challenges? Because the third house is the house that demands courage and effort. It's also the house of desires. So the person is likely to have a desirous nature, and since this house also represents short travels, the native's entire life becomes connected with these types of activities, either because the person is naturally like this or life keeps bringing such themes again and again. And in this case, since it's a Leo rising, the sun will always go into the sign of Libra in the third house. If you follow the natural order, if Leo rules the first house, Virgo rules the second, and Libra rules the third. So when the sun is the first house lord and it sits in the third house, it will be in Libra, which is the sun's debilitation sign. This can also indicate the native might have some health issues or may not be physically very strong because the sun is weak here. Let's take another example. If Capricorn is ruling the first house, then the first house lord will be Saturn. Now, if the first house is ruled by Capricorn and its lord is sitting in the third house, the situation changes. Here, Saturn is the lord of the first house. And if Saturn sits in the third house, then the sign will also be different. Because if Capricorn is ruling the first house, then Aquarius rules the second house and Pisces rules the third house if we follow the natural order. Now, the general theme I discussed earlier, like traveling, socializing, life demanding courage, and all those things will somewhat remain the same, but it won't be exactly the same as when the sun was the ascendant lord sitting in the third house. Here the lord is Saturn, so the planet is different. The sign it is placed in is different, and because of this, the theme also changes. The planet changes, the sign changes, and therefore the results also shift. And if certain planets are aspecting the Saturn as well, then different layers are added to the theme. This is how things get more and more complex in astrology, because of added aspects, added influences, and added factors. That's why astrology is not that easy. Usually people look at free online descriptions like first house lord in the third house, what does it mean? And they relate to it about 50-50. Because if you go into specific details like which sign, which planet, which aspects the planet is receiving, the results change accordingly. That's why not every person with their first house lord in the third house will have the same personality. But yes, their personalities will be quite similar, not identical, but definitely similar. Their life theme is also similar, just not exactly the same. For some, this placement may be good, and for others it may be difficult because it further depends on aspects, dignity, the sign it is placed in, and many other factors. Same goes for the rest of the houses. Now, another thing. We have discussed signs and aspects, but whether a planet is happy or sad is another important factor. This helps determine whether the planet is giving good results or bad results related to the house it rules. If a planet is happy, it brings good results. If it's sad, it brings difficult results. But the most important thing in astrology is analyzing the dignity of the planet. This is key. This tells us how strong a planet is in terms of giving results, especially positive ones. If a planet is dignified, that's a good thing. If it's not dignified, that's not good. It becomes weak in delivering results, or even if it gives results, they are not very auspicious. So, how do we determine the dignity of a planet? There are certain signs where each planet is considered to be in its best possible position, and certain signs where it is in its worst condition. The best possible position is called exaltation. This is where the planet is at full power, full potency, and fully capable of giving results. For the sun, the exaltation sign is Aries. Whenever the sun is placed in Aries, it is exalted, full power, full vigor, full strength. For the moon, the exaltation sign is Taurus. For Mercury, the exaltation sign is Virgo. For Venus, it is Pisces. For Mars, it is Capricorn. For Jupiter, it is Cancer. For Saturn, it is Libra. Now, Rahu and Ketu are shadow planets, but even they have certain signs where they behave very well. Rahu is exalted in Taurus and Ketu is exalted in Scorpio. Whenever a planet is placed in its exaltation sign, it is considered powerful and likely to give positive, auspicious results. On the opposite side, there are signs where each planet is considered debilitated, meaning weak or falling. In these signs, the planet struggles to give positive results or struggles to give results at all. The debilitation signs are basically the opposite of the exaltation signs. Sun is debilitated in Libra, Moon is debilitated in Scorpio, Mercury is debilitated in Pisces, Venus is debilitated in Virgo, Mars is debilitated in Cancer, Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn, Saturn is debilitated in Aries. For Rahu, the debilitated sign is Scorpio. For Ketu, the debilitated sign is Taurus. These are very weak placements for them. So apart from dignity of the planet, there are certain houses that are naturally considered tough. As we have discussed, each house represents a certain life theme or certain areas of a native's life, but not all houses are auspicious or easy. If any planet goes into those difficult houses, its results become hard to achieve, and even if they are achievable, they require a lot of effort. The houses that are considered the most difficult are the 6th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house. These are the most inauspicious houses of the birth chart. So, whenever a planet goes into these houses, those planets are kind of cursed in the sense that they struggle to give positive or smooth results. The 6th house always brings problems, restrictions, frictions, disagreements, disapproval, basically any kind of hurdles that make you feel frustrated and stuck. It requires a lot of effort and a lot of fighting. If any house lord goes into the 6th house, you have to fight for the result of that house. When any planet goes into the 8th house, it's different kind of difficulty. It's not about fights, it's about lack of control. Any house lord placed in the 8th house becomes unpredictable. You may get good things, but only when you least expect them, and you may get the worst shocks when you are not even anticipating anything. This placement brings turbulence, up and down, things going completely haywire. Emotionally, it is the most disturbing and difficult, and physically also, the native experiences sudden shocks through 8th house matters. Now, if any house lord goes into the 12th house, the nature is similar to the 8th house but slightly different. Here, it's not about shocks or lack of control, but about losses. The 12th house is the house of losses. So whenever a house lord goes into the 12th house, the native experiences losses in that area of a life. You don't get the desired results easily. You feel like you are running towards something non-stop, but there is no destination. It becomes difficult to reach the final point of that house. That is why it is said that any house lord in the 12th house brings losses related to that planet and that house. But it's not always the case, because the sign, aspects, and strength of a planet also matter. Still, the overall theme of the 12th house is not happy. Even if the planet is strong, effort and time are still required. Now, there are some other houses where if the house lord goes into them, the results are not difficult in a harmful way, but they still require time and effort. The house results are not instantly available. These houses are the 3rd house, the 10th house, and the 11th house. Any house lord goes into these houses will give results, but slowly. You have to work hard and you have to wait. Sometimes you get results early, but they take time to stabilize. These houses are also known for giving delayed success, but once the success comes, it is strong. Now let's talk about the very auspicious houses of the birth chart. These are the houses where if any house lord sits, it becomes a blessing. These houses include the first house, fourth house, fifth house, seventh house, ninth house, and 10th house. I have already mentioned the 10th house earlier. It requires efforts and time, but it is still considered a very good house because the results are eventually promised. So the houses whose lords are placed in any of these auspicious houses are naturally blessed. When someone has many planets sitting in these good houses, you can clearly see it in their life theme. If a planet is happily placed in a positive house, free from affliction, it is very likely to give auspicious results to the house it rules. But on the other side, if a planet is in a weak position, heavily afflicted, or sitting in a bad house that we just discussed, then the results of the house it rules becomes either hard to attain or hard to sustain. So, when any specific life area needs to be studied, you don't only look at the house itself, the placement of the house lord matters a lot. Everything is seen in combination. If the house is in serious trouble, let's say multiple malefics are sitting there and no benefic planet is aspecting it, particularly Jupiter's aspect, but its house lord is well placed, then the results of that house will still be achieved at some point, but with huge effort and struggle. If the malefics connected to the house are also weak in dignity, the delay and effort required for results will be even higher. A lot of patience is required. And if the house is good, like all good planets, sitting there and not more than one malefic planet aspecting it, but the house lord is not well placed, things related to that house will be achieved relatively on time or with minimum effort, but the sustainability of those things is suspicious and very likely not to last long. If the benefic planets associated with the house are strong in dignity, they can somehow neutralize the negative effects of the poorly placed house lord. And if both the house and the house lord are in a bad condition, that is also known as sphere affliction, then the results related to that house are not likely to be achieved. The things related to that house are very hard to manifest if ever. But if both the house and the house lord are placed really well, with good planets in the house and a strong house lord, then the results will be great. The native will achieve very positive outcomes related to that house, and the sustainability of the things achieved will also be very high. The native will feel truly blessed in those areas of life where this condition is met. This is how you can navigate your birth chart overall. Whenever you look at your chart, you can easily understand what those numbers mean, what those alphabets represent, and which areas of your life are blessed and which are not. I hope that after getting your birth chart, you can now pinpoint where you experience the most trouble and where you are naturally blessed. This is just a basic know-how for exploring a Vedic birth chart. There is a lot more to it, and of course, things take time to fully understand. But for a beginner in Vedic astrology, this information is crucial. So now you can go and draw your birth chart and see which life areas are blessed and which ones require effort and struggle. And usually, for the areas where you struggle, astrologers provide certain remedies and solutions to help reduce friction and get results more easily.